これがお前の言う守る力の結末だ。
私の力がもっとずっと大きければ。シュンをバイゴ、リリー、どうして私は弱いんだろう。どうして私の果てしなく大きかったら何もかもなかったことにできるのに。だから私
待て、井上。
Did Orihime Inoue really sacrifice herself to save Ichigo from Yhwach? Or was what we saw in that episode far more complicated than just a simple sacrifice and death? In this video, we're going back step by step through the most dangerous moment Orihime has ever lived through in the entire Bleach Thousand-Year Blood War storyline. And we're breaking the scene down piece by piece, what the manga said, what the anime changed, and what's still left open to this day. If you're a Bleach fan and you have your own theory about Orihime's fate, stay with me until the end, because I'll share my personal take too. To understand the depth of this scene, we need to take a step back. Episode 5 of Part 4 of TYBW isn't just another action episode. It's one of the most important moments in the entire anime, because it combines the strongest battle Ichigo has ever faced with one of the deepest emotional moments Orihime has ever had. At this point in the story, Yhwach, the philosopher king who spent 1,000 years building his plan, has reached his ultimate form. He possesses a power called the Almighty, and this isn't just some ordinary offensive power. It's a power that lets him see the future and change it. In simple terms, Yhwach sees every move his opponent is about to make before it happens, and he can stop it before it even starts. And this is where the tragedy lies. Ichigo, who has pushed himself to his absolute limit, who activated his Bankai, who fought through the entire series to reach this exact moment, find himself completely powerless. Not because he's weak, but because he's fighting someone who can see the future before it unfolds. When we see Ichigo activate his Bankai in front of Yhwach, every Bleach fan knows this is supposed to be the turning point of the battle. Bankai has always been Ichigo's trump card since the very beginning of the series. But this time, the situation is completely different. Yhwach doesn't even need to fight seriously. With the Almighty, he can predict every strike, every move, every strategy, and counter it before it even happens. And this creates a terrifying feeling in the viewer. The sense that Ichigo, for all his power, has become nothing more than a detail in Yhwach's plan. This overwhelming sense of helplessness sets the stage for what comes next, the moment Orihime steps in. From the very first time we saw her power, Orihime Inoue's role was always about protection and healing, not offense. Her ability, Shun Rikka, is built on the concept of rejecting reality, meaning she can reject an event from having happened at all and restore things to their original state, whether that's a wound or even an attack. But in this scene, Orihime doesn't settle for her usual role as a healer or a distant guardian. She sees Ichigo and Rikka in a position of certain death against a power beyond description, and she makes a decision that stands as one of the bravest choices she's ever made in the entire series. She steps forward, face to face, in front of Yhwach himself. This action matters a lot for understanding Orihime's character. From the beginning, Orihime was the character who loved from a distance, who hesitated, who doubted herself. But this scene completely shatters that image. Here, Orihime doesn't hesitate for even a second. She uses her defensive ability in a way that looks, to the viewer, like she's directly challenging the Almighty itself, a power that even Ichigo couldn't stand against. And that alone gives the scene enormous dramatic weight. And here we arrive at the moment no one who watched this episode can forget. After Orihime uses everything she has, the camera focuses on her as she begins to fade away. Her body dissolves into particles of light, scattering along with flower petals, while the red hues surrounding the scene create a feeling of both danger and sacrifice at once. Visually, this is one of the most beautiful and brutal scenes in the entire anime. The studio used lighting and color in a way that makes the viewer feel something final is happening, as if Orihime is gone for good. But let's pause here and actually analyze this. Is this really death? The anime never directly states Orihime is dead. What happens is a visual disappearance, accompanied by somber music and effects that suggest sacrifice. And that's a big difference between implying death and confirming death. Now we get to a really important point that every fan needs to know. This exact scene is entirely original to the anime and doesn't appear in this form in Tite Kubo's original manga. The anime added major expansions and details to the final battle between Ichigo and Yhwach and changed the order and presentation of certain events to heighten the dramatic and visual impact. And this raises an important question. If this scene isn't from the original source material, the manga, to begin with, is it bound to end up with the exact same outcome as the manga's ending? The answer, not necessarily. Studios sometimes add visually powerful scenes to increase tension and impact without necessarily changing the core storyline. In other words, the goal of this scene might simply be to show the true scale of the sacrifice and the danger, not necessarily to confirm the character's ending. This kind of deliberate ambiguity is extremely common in anime adaptations of manga that are either still ongoing or ended with different specific details than what's shown on screen. Beyond the question of did she die or not, this scene carries a deep emotional meaning worth pausing on. Throughout the story, Orihime loved Ichigo silently. She never told him directly and never asked for anything in return. And in the most dangerous moment of her life, her choice was clear. Protect the person she loves, even if it costs her everything she has. This turns the scene into more than just an action moment. It's a moment that reveals the very core of Orihime's character. Quiet courage, sacrifice without expecting anything back, and a love that doesn't need words to prove itself. Whether she died or not, this scene proved to viewers that Orihime is not just a background support character. She is a hero who made her choice with full awareness of the cost. The fan community is split between two main opinions. That Orihime truly sacrificed her life. And this is part of the heavy price paid by characters in this war, just like other characters who died in the final battle. That her disappearance is simply the result of completely draining her power or a temporary shift caused by the nature of her ability, which deals with rejecting reality, and that she'll return later at a decisive moment, following narrative patterns Kubo has used before elsewhere in the series. What matters is that the upcoming episodes of the anime are the ones that will finally settle this debate. And as of now, we still don't have 100% official confirmation. In the end, whether your team Orihime died or team Orihime is coming back, one thing is certain. This scene is one of the most powerful and beautifully crafted moments the new Bleach anime has ever delivered. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Do you believe Orihime truly sacrificed her life, or is there something bigger coming in the next episodes? Like the video and subscribe so you don't miss any of our Bleach breakdowns as soon as they drop.